Hi, much love to you all. I trust that you all are having a wonderful day or night, depending on when you're listening to this. So, today I wanted to talk about releasing. Um, and I mean like releasing old patterns, releasing old habits, things that you believe, and just relationships, anything, or behaviors that no longer serve you. And to be straight up with you, these things are preventing you from living in your highest good, whatever that may look like for you. So remember one thing. First of all, no one's journey is exactly the same. So what you may need to release today or let go of or detach from may not be the same for someone else. I want to make that clear because I see a lot of people comparing themselves, especially nowadays with social media. You know, there's so much comparison going on, and so I mean, I think you get so wrapped up into that you even forget who you are sometimes, right? So let's start with that, knowing who you are, knowing that you are the universe, you are God, you whatever you want to call it, is who you are. You are everything. You are all there is because God that is in you. And I use God. It could be, the universe, whatever you want to use. That is in you is you. Because remember, you're in this world, but not of it. And I think sometimes people get that confusing. Like people get confused with that. Why? Because, like, for example, the Bible says that, right? But people don't understand. Sometimes they think that, not sometimes, a lot of times, people think of that in a human form. Now, think about that phrase. You are in this world, but not of it. So you're here, but you're not of this world, meaning that everything is non physical. Everything. And the Bible clearly talks about that. And again, I have my own beliefs about the Bible. Some people have their opinions or their beliefs, which is fine. I still think that there is such valuable information in there. And yes, I know things have been omitted and things have been added in. And if you don't know those things, don't come here and try to tell me about them because obviously there's a big chunk of information that you're missing. So, however, I still do resort back to it because there's so much valuable information in the Bible that has been left for us, and basically is up to you to decipher it. But even though most of it is just there, plain black and white, but depending on how you were raised, religious institutions, they will alter that, and you won't even know that it has been altered in your mind, that or your perception of it. Anyway, so let's go back, right? Um, I said that obviously it needed to be said. I don't know why, but I released it. So, okay. So, different behaviors that we have, behaviors that may have been constructed from our childhood. It could have been constructed from a period or time in your life where you were going through something specifically, and as a form of survival, you led yourself to believe certain things. This includes the way that you think. This even includes relationships. Now, let me explain something to you about relationships. And I'm going to start with the friendships, right? So you may have a ton of friends, you may have just two friends. I don't know. However, either way, it is very important to evaluate what and who is surrounding you. And I've said this in one of my videos before, just because you release someone doesn't mean there's something wrong with them or something wrong with you. It just means that for the moment in your time, you may not be able to have certain people around you because it can influence the way that you think based on their opinion, because they are going to share their opinions with you or their thoughts. Some people might even get defensive about it. Yeah. So you think about that, right? Or you have a dear friend and you're going through a process of some sort and you have to detach from everyone around you, right? Including friendships. And so then this friend might even get defensive and offended because you no longer have that same intention with them, that same relationship. And let me tell you something, that is just part of what is in you. You're basically having that happen. So you cannot think, or you should not think. No, you know what I'm going to say? You cannot think. I'm going to be straight up. You cannot think in your mind what other people or how other people are going to feel based on your journey. Why? Because you're attaching yourself, right? You're attaching yourself to that opinion, that thought, that belief that belongs to someone else. And the moment you consider that, it becomes yours. And so then now you have that to work on. You know what I mean? Because sometimes a lot of things that happen in relationships, whether it be in romantic or friendship, a lot of things that occur is really supposed to open up your mind to what's inside of you, right? So if this is just an example, if you're afraid of not having any friends because all your life you've always been around so many people and you've had friends, if you're worried about that and that's inside of you, then you might be actually causing something in the 3D reality. I'm going to say 3D, in the physical world, that really is not real, but you're going to see that come about and probably even put you in situations where you're going to have to learn from that. So think about it. What's more important? Your involvement, you being the you that you were created to be, or a friend's feelings because they felt uncomfortable that now you're not friends with them? Listen, I know it's not easy. It can be, but it may not be for you, depending on your history, depending on your thought process, your beliefs. It may not be as simple as it just being said, although it can be, because to be the you that you were created to be, you just need to be. Just like our, our creator, the sovereign being, infinite intelligence, there's no getting there. You just are, right? You just are. And that's what you have to do. Just be. Because the only time that really is or matters is the right now, being in the present, the right now. So that's another one that I kind of sidetracked, but I felt that that was necessary to say. So I know how it can be. You can have childhood friends and all of a sudden you're going through something and you're evolving as a person and you may have to cut those friendships off. And then what's funny is that you might find yourself thinking like, wow, I didn't even know that I thought like this, I behaved like this, I did this. You might not even know that. It's because of your friendships. Listen, there's so many people that are not who they are because they want to stay relevant. They want to have specific friends. They want to be down, with certain people. One time I heard, and this was a man saying this, where I heard him say, he didn't know I was listening to him. And there was some people there, and I forget what they were speaking about, but it was a certain event that was I don't know if it was a sports event. I don't recall, but I know it was something that was going on. And this guy really said, and I felt like at the last moment, he had no choice but to say it like this, where he said, well, I'm not really into it, but I have to watch it because then everyone else is going to be talking about it, and I'm not going to be involved in those conversations. Like my heart, I just felt for this guy in the sense that, wow, you have to watch something, or this is how he feels. He feels like he has to watch something so that when people are speaking about it, he knows what to say, or he is involved in that conversation. So basically, you're telling me that that's not even you. Basically, you're telling me that the people that you're surrounding yourself with are causing you to be a specific person when really that's not who you are. And everyone, to each their own and all of that. But it just, that made me realize even more that there's so many people in this world like that, right? So, and sometimes there are the people that they feel like they have to go to certain places, they have to attend certain events because that's what everyone else is doing. Some people feel like they have to be in relationships because, hey, most of my friends are in relationships and I'm the one that isn't. So I have to be in a relationship so that I can have this social life and not feel left out. Wow, right? How you're allowing that power to, or you're giving away your power, basically, and you're living your life being someone that the outside, the 3D requires you to be. The physical world requires you to be. But wouldn't it be beautiful if you could just be you? If you could just be the you that you were created to be without fear of what other people might say? And it goes back to that whole validation thing, People feel like they need to be validated by the exterior, by the outside. And really, everything's happening inside. It's all within you. So let's touch on the relationships, the romantic relationships, right? This can be something that may take you 1 second, because you literally will shift in that 1 second into being someone else and changing your mentality and reprogramming your mind. Or it can take you 10 years. Neither way is incorrect. Whatever works for you works for you. That's number one. Number two, that requires for you to release and let go and not be attached to certain relationships, because most of the time people are in these relationships, and I've said this before, people are in these relationships because they may not know how to get out. They may look at the world on the outside like, and this is I'm going to lean towards women that end up staying with certain men, and this can happen vice versa, and it can happen in any relationship, but this is the example I'm using right now. Women are involved with men that they just rather deal with the hell, let's use that word, right? The hell that they are living with this man, instead of them being who they truly are. And because, listen, and I'm going to say this, there are many women that seem to attract or put themselves in situations where they're dealing with men over and over and over and over that have, let's just say, certain mental capacities. In the psychology field, they might call them disorders. I like to think of it that people just think differently, specifically when people are on the autism spectrum. And I say that specifically because the spectrum can be a lot of things. Nowadays, so many things have been put under the spectrum. But honey, let me tell you something. Do not feel bad. Do not feel bad if you are with someone on this spectrum. They are making your life hell because that's what you keep choosing. So you're choosing to continue to live like this. Your life might be hell, but you're like, oh, it's too hard to leave him because I have kids. It's too hard to leave him because how am I going to make it on one single income? It's too hard to, like, who are you believing here? Who told you that? Who told you that? Think about it. Who told you that? Who told you that's going to be harder than what you're living now? Who told you that? Are you making this stuff up in your head, in your mind? Is it because you're focusing on the physical, third dimensional reality and you're thinking to yourself, well, that's what most women have been through? Well, you know what? There have been a whole bunch of women that have left what is considered abusive relationships, specifically because these men have certain ways of thinking, and you get so sucked up into that and you get so attached to that. And sometimes even religious institutions want to keep you attached to that because, oh no, a divorce, oh no, a separation. Like, yeah, and like, who's in you? Who's in you? Who is in you? Who's dominating you? Where's your power that was given to you with the authority for you to operate in that power? Where is that power? I don't care if you have to remind yourself every hour. Put it on your phone, a reminder every hour. Who are you? Who are you choosing to be? Are you choosing to be the God that's in you? Are you choosing to be the universe? Are you choosing to be the infinite? And I use all these terms again. Take whichever one relates to what your beliefs are. There's no wrong answer. But who's telling you that? What is wrong? Let me rephrase that. Why is it that you feel that it would be easier to stay in? And I'm not telling you, listen, this is a disclaimer. Do not say, oh, she told me to do this. No, I'm asking you questions. And if you're thinking about them, it's because there's something inside of you telling you, like, hey, listen, evaluate this. Think about it. So you are supposed to be the highest and best version of yourself. You will not be that person if you're still operating as the victim of an abusive relationship. And I want to say something. Be careful who you tell this stuff to, because there are certain ways of people thinking. This could be your partner, your husband, your whatever, that because of the way they think, they will impose that on you. So they think differently. They don't have the empathy that maybe an average person would have. They don't have the mental capacity, the emotional intelligence to be able to value the wonderful woman that you are. And you're choosing to continue living like that. You're choosing that. And when you detach yourself from what other people say, what other people think, and you worry about yourself, because, okay, like for example, and I'll just use, and I know how that came up. Again, I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm focusing more on the point. You know, you are to love others the way you love yourself. You know what? That's some crazy stuff right there, because the majority of people don't even love themselves. So how can you love somebody else? How can you love or say that you love somebody else with all your heart when you don't even love yourself, or the God you believe in, or the universe, or the infinite intelligence? If you don't love yourself, there's no way you can love somebody else. You're going to spend your life thinking you can make that other person love you the way you need to be loved. Yeah, that's what you're going to do, and you're going to keep repeating the patterns in that relationship. But when you know who you are, you know who created you, you know who is in your mind, you know where the kingdom of God really is. When you know all these things, you do not allow for yourself to get attached to other people's mentalities, other people's opinions. The trick is to detach, right? How do you detach? Don't care. Don't care. Oh, but if I break up with him, then he's going to be so sad and it's going to be such a mess because our families... Why do you care about that? Who told you to care about that? Has anyone told you to care about you? Number one. And care about if you have kids first before caring about anybody else? Because that you're supposed to care about you first. You're supposed to be the most important person in your life. If you believe in God and you believe that God is in you, but here you are not even valuing your temple, your mind, who you are, but then you say you love God and God is number one. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I know a lot of that it comes from religious institutions. That's the way they program you, right? But it's all about you first, because everything is you. Everything is you. So that's very important to understand. I know I'm going a bit longer, and I always say this. I don't know if I'm going to do a part 2, but I want you to understand that releasing and detaching yourself in itself, it's an act of purification, if you want to call it a spiritual purification, a clearing of the space for new growth. I don't really like the word growth because we just are, but development, I guess I can say, and opportunities. I think of one of the movies that I love, The Never Ending Story, A Trail. So, like when he, the young boy, and he's going through the swamp, right? That is so powerful to me, because this kid really just had, literally like his horse, and that's it, and he's going on this journey, right? Which is so symbolic to me. And I'll touch more on it the more I speak, because I feel like it's such a symbolic movie. He goes and he's in the swamp, and he's with one of the things that he loves the most in this world, which is his horse, right? And he's going through the swamp, and it's sinking. The horse is sinking, right? And so is he. But he's realizing that if the more he attaches himself to this prized possession of his, the horse, the more he's sinking himself too. So now he's trying to get himself out of the swamp and get the horse too. But the thing is, he would never have been able to move on unless he would have let go of the horse. You get what I'm saying? And it's the same thing for us. That horse can mean anything. It can mean your children. It can mean your partner, your spouse, your whatever. It can mean a family member. It can mean a job. It can mean so many things, depending on where you are in your life. And unless because detaching doesn't always mean that you're losing. Think about Job too, where he lost so many things, but then he got it all back. And it's not so much about losing, it's about gaining. When you gain for your own self, for your own involvement, to be the living in the timeline of your highest good, your deepest desires, and your ultimate fulfillment, you're not losing. Like, I don't know where we got that from. I really don't know where we got that from, that if you let things go, that you're losing something. You're not, because you're gaining yourself, you're who you are, right? And if you've seen the movie, you know that at the end of it, you know, the horse comes back to him. If you use the example of Job, like everything was given back to him and more, and then some, you know what I mean? So that's so important to understand. When you stick to that concept or those concepts, you know, just if you have to, think about the movie. Think about the movie, think about the scripture, whatever's going to work for you. And understand that when you're letting things go, it does not mean that you're losing something, because it can mean that you're gaining something, because people idolize a lot. And it could be something like, it could be your dog, it could be, you know, but when you're ready to let things go, yeah, all hell's gonna probably break loose, and all these things are gonna happen. But that's because everything's settling in. Everything's settling in that new, not new, but that different timeline that you're living in, that you're choosing, because you have to choose it, that timeline that you're choosing to live in. Because that's where you will have, or that's where you have your highest power. So I'm going to leave it here for now. And I know that you guys are going to benefit so much from listening to this. Sending much love to you all. And hugs as well. Sending that energy to you. And just maybe say this, and while you're thinking of things, write this down if you have to. I release what no longer serves my highest good, making space for my soul's development, making space for who I truly am, making space to receive what really does belong to me. Because sometimes you're holding on to things thinking that it belongs to you, but it really doesn't. It belongs to someone else, and you've been holding on so long. Okay? So, thank you so much for listening. I love you all. And always remember, be the you that you were created to be.